Well, pleasant good evening to everyone. You're welcome this evening to the class of Steele. This is our final Friday. This is our final Friday for the class of Steele for the next couple of weeks. We're going to resume class after the on the 3rd of June. On the 3rd of June is when we will be resuming the class of Steele. Today is the 6th of May. The year is rushing along. Today is the 6th of May, and we will be closing the class of Steele's, this adult section, until the 3rd of June when we resume. And tomorrow is the big day. Tomorrow is our second anniversary. Our second anniversary celebration is tomorrow, and tomorrow is when we are going to be recognizing some individuals, quite a few individuals who have played major roles and who have had great accomplishments in the year just passed. And I'm excited because looking through the program has kept me and First Lady awake for some days now. It was quite a tedious task to be creating certificates and all of the wonderful things that we have done. And you will have the opportunity to see that tomorrow. So tomorrow between the hours of 12 and 4 p.m. will be our celebration. And I hope that you send the link out far and wide. Just invite everybody. There's no registration necessary. Just use the link, and every person who has the link is able to join. And let your friends see that you will be recognized in the class of Steele and what you're doing. And also, as you're aware, most of you will be speaking briefly. Everybody's going to be, most of you are getting a 15-minute slot where you will share or discuss what the class of Steele has been to you. What benefits have you gotten from it, if any? And we will have that as a journal, a document to just have there always for posterity. And equally, we will have an official who has confirmed that they will be joining with the class of Steele so that they can see for themselves what's happening. And that is a UK government official or more than one, depending on what happens tomorrow. So tomorrow is a very big day for the class of Steele. It's a day of celebrating, a day of saying thank you, a day of expressing appreciation for getting us over this year. It's been a challenging year, but of course, there have been some rewarding times and some wonderful times as well. So with that being said, this evening again, we're gonna have some open discussion, and it is because I just want us to wind down and look at some things that are happening. Incidentally, before I do that, our current we're currently at 93 subscribers, and I need 8 more subscribers for the Class of Steel channel. I need 8 more subscribers so that we could finally get our Class of Steel name. So with that being said, if any of you could just send out the link, I'll share the link with you. I just need 8 more. That's all I need. 8 more subscribers to the Class of Steel channel. That's the link for the Class of Steel channel. And I need 8 single more subscribers. 8. That's all we need. 8 persons to just go and click subscribe. And once we do that, we will have 100 persons. Oh no, not eight, seven. I'm sorry, we need 7 more persons. And once we do that, we will finally be able to put the class of Steele there. And equally, our YouTube channel could then start getting cut up and the videos put in place. So I'm leaving it with us for those final 8 persons. I have not been sending out any requests for subscribers because I was just waiting to see how long it will take all of us to get to 100 subscribers. I was just in the background quietly watching and observing how long is it going to take us to do that. And after we reach 100 subscribers, then I will start to reach out for subscribers beyond our just us here. So I'm looking at the first lady. Why are you laughing? All right. So this evening, in the open discussion, one of the things that I want to share this evening in the open discussion is I personally want to look at the challenge of travel. Things are changing right now. And I want to look at the challenge of travel and share some discoveries that I've had with regards to traveling and moving around. There's some things that I have looked at that I have observed. I'm not sure if it is only me, but how many of you recognize that our countries are trying to keep us actually in lockdown? And what do I mean by lockdown? I've observed that we are trying to become globally relevant and to go places and to see places and to do things. And I kind of discovered that the rhetoric or the design of what is happening is actually to keep us from doing that. Totally. We look at the flu pandemic and it started with the flu pandemic to some degree and blocked persons from traveling, and it made it more difficult for traveling. And then I recognized that every rhetoric since then has been to keep people at home, keep people from leaving their country. And I started to watch and wonder what's really happening. Why is there such a fear of persons leaving their country? And what I've discovered is that migration is taking its toll on the economies of the nations. A lot of persons are getting depressed or frustrated in one region, and they're just getting up and leaving. How many of you know what I'm talking about? You see that persons are just leaving countries and going to other countries. They are actually moving away from one location and into the other. And as a result of that, they're making it more difficult for all forms of individuals to be getting involved in traveling. Now, I've also discovered something else that is quite relevant. If you want to be successful, there's a level of having to becoming globally relevant that needs to happen in order for you to be successful. You have to find an environment where you are reaching more than just your local community, or your local arenas. You're going to be in an environment where you need to be globally minded. A lot of individuals are currently at a place where they're comfortable just in in their local environment. But in order to be successful in this era, you're going to have to be moving. Now, what will I say about this? Currently, moving is going to become like you're in an environment and you need a car. You need to have transportation. Transportation is not, sometimes when you look at the logistics that are facing you, some persons think a transportation might be a luxury, but in other cases, transportation is a necessity. And when you have, there's a difference between luxury and necessity. Once before, traveling was a luxury. Traveling was a luxury because you go somewhere, you save up for a vacation, you save up for a holiday, and that was the necessity, that was the luxury of being able to afford to travel for a holiday. But recently, because of different logistics and persons are wanting to return to Africa, persons are wanting to return to their roots in the Caribbean, a lot of places are finding it difficult to hold on to their good workforce. They're finding individuals who can afford to leave are leaving. So they're trying to lock them down and they're trying to stop others from getting bit by that bug. Now, it is a necessity to travel. Put that down. You should write that note. It's a necessity to travel, not a luxury. If you look at traveling as a luxury, you're missing the mark. Traveling and moving from point to point, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's a necessity if you want to be successful. It's a necessity if you want to rise above the wage standard that you're currently at. Traveling is going to be a necessity. And I'm talking about traveling from country to country. You're going to have to put in place, I need to travel at least once or twice a year. But what does that mean? I need to travel. It means that you need to take away holiday and vacation from the mindset of traveling and put it into how can I improve my standard of living? How can I improve my global footprint? How can I improve what I want to accomplish? You're going to have to convert it from this is a vacation that I can afford to take and convert it into this is a necessity that if I want to have vacation, I have to be able to travel and put this necessity in place. Because too many people are talking, I can't afford to travel. As a matter of fact, major corporations have something that most small people do not have. Most small people, if I should use that term for lack of a better word, most small people do not have a marketing budget. They don't have a marketing budget because they don't see the need for investing money in marketing. They don't see the need for investing money in getting themselves out there. And I will tell you that the largest budget in most companies' list of things, the most largest budget is the marketing budget because they market heavily. But then there's another budget that is also high in the company as well, the traveling budget. Most company directors, when they employ a director, he has a travel budget. He has an allocation for him for traveling. Why? Because marketing is important. Traveling is equally important. But wait a minute, then they also have an entertainment budget. Why do you have marketing, travel, and entertainment? Because entertainment happens at meetings. Entertainment is supposed to bring those people that are necessary for your corporation to grow to the next level. An entertainment budget is for you and them to sit down and have a meal. That's spending money, but it's money spent because of the necessity for marketing and growth. So where are you with your markets? Where are you in light of looking at you have to break forth in 2022 and 2023 and beyond and be more successful? Your company has to be more recognized. One of my classmates, George Abaka, and he was in school with me in Barbados when I went into secondary school. And George, it was very funny actually, because his name is George Abaka. He is from the DRC, the Ivory Coast, I think that's it, or the Gold Coast, I think, DRC. And I remember when he was there, we were finding it very interesting. How could you have a name like George and Abaka? How did you get that working out? Being an African with a name George and then an African name Abaka, and it was interesting. But recently, a couple of days ago, George just passed another test, and he was sharing it on his LinkedIn profile that he passed another certification. And I smiled and commented, wow, all these times we are still improving ourselves. From the time we were in primary school, secondary school, and up to recently, we are 50 years old now and still improving ourselves. That is a necessity. Improving ourselves is not a maybe. It's not a I can't afford or I can't afford to do this. It is you can't afford not to do it. You can't afford not to be clued up with how to behave appropriately. You can't afford not to be positioning yourself to being a better person, better at communicating, better at delivering to an international audience. We have to be at that place of improving. And it is not a luxury. Improving is not a luxury. You know, sometimes when you get up, and sometimes because of your status or our status or assumed status, we think, oh, it's a luxury to do this. It's not a luxury in some cases. It's a necessity. Wearing a clean suit and dressing properly for a meeting, it's not a luxury. It's a necessity. And sometimes when we have individuals that put our mind into not understanding the difference between necessity and luxury, it could be challenging. Every person who has a car cannot afford to have a car. But on the other side of the coin, those that have a car might look at you and tell you, a car for me is not a luxury, a car is a necessity. So how do you determine what are luxuries and what are necessity? I'm going to break it down for you. And this is just my opinion. This is not any great revelation. This is just my opinion of the difference between a luxury and a necessity. A necessity pays the bills and put food on the table. A necessity pays the bills and puts food on the table. A necessity is necessary for increasing your productivity. Put those notes down. A necessity is one of those things that is necessary for increasing your productivity. If you're going to be more productive, there's some things that are necessary for us to do. What are luxuries? What are luxuries? And forgive me for saying it this way, but this is what are luxuries. Luxuries are adornments that, as a result of increased productivity or capacity, they are adornments that make you happy, satisfied, excited because of the demand it took on you based on the necessities. You get a reward. You reward yourself. Luxuries are rewards for increased productivity or capacity. A trip to a conference is not a luxury. Sitting and being mentored is not a luxury. It's not a luxury to sit and be mentored. That's not a luxury. If a luxury is being able to pay for your mentor and tell him, come and go on a golfing trip with me. I want to take you on a golfing trip and I'm going to pay for you. That's a luxury. A luxury is being able to say to your great mentor, whoever that person might be, or to your trainer, or to your teacher, or to your best friend, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to call you today. I'm going to come and see you over the weekend. I'm going to take a flight and come and see you. That's a luxury. It's not a necessity. It's a luxury. It becomes a necessity when it increases your productivity, or when the purpose of doing it is to advance what you're doing. Are you rightly dividing your luxuries from your necessities? The luxury of having a wonderful event is based on the necessity of working hard and long hours. It was necessary to do that so that now I can enjoy the luxury of a good event, or enjoy the luxury of the results of my labors. One of the things that I can assure you, why do I teach this rhetoric? Why do I share about becoming globally relevant, about traveling? Why do I do this? Because throughout my life, I've discovered that if you do not have somewhere else to go, sometimes where you are can stifle you. How many of you get what I'm saying? It can stifle you. It can create an environment whereby you feel trapped. You feel there's no way out. There is no solution. But the ability to move and to go places and to discover, to expand your thinking, expand your way of looking at life, expand your point of view, expand understanding of cultures and other ways of doing things, that causes you to be safe when others are trapped in an environment of disillusionment. If you're looking at 2023 and 2022, the finishing of this year and 2023, if you're really seriously looking at expanding and improving on yourself, stop looking at traveling as a luxury. Traveling is not a luxury at this stage in your life to some degree. Unless, of course, you can afford it and it's easy. It's easy. But for me, traveling has not been a luxury as yet. It has had its privileges. It has had its moments in the midst of working, in the midst of building, in the midst of trying to improve myself. It has had its moments. There are moments that you can look back and you can see, yes, I did enjoy this. How many of you know that, again, going back to it and hitting it, really hitting it, most people just see traveling as a tourist product. But traveling is business for the economies of the nations. It's a business. For them, it's not about luxury. For you who is traveling with that mindset, it's about luxury. For the companies that put a tourism product on the market, they are seeing business. They're seeing taking your monies from you and putting it into their ecosystem. Most persons that have conferences and events, they have discovered something. They've discovered that when you have conferences and events that are bringing people of different levels into meeting each other, what happens? You discover that you raise the level of thinking of those who are local. If I bring a conference to Nigeria, when I bring conferences to Nigeria and I bring events to Nigeria, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. It's going to be with two intentions. Intention number one, to inform you, whoever the you is. I'm using the you as whoever, to inform you. Intention number two, to improve on what you currently have. To improve on what you currently have. Number one, to inform you. Inform you of things that are necessary for you to get to the next level. Inform you of what you need to be aware of to get on the other side. Inform you. But to improve you when you take that trip. That's the only way you will get the improvement, when you take that trip. His Excellency Dr. Ewers has traveled with me. And as a result of traveling, and I know all of you have traveled on your own, nothing to do with just me, but I can mention His Excellency because him and I have done it together more than one occasions. And the beauty of traveling is discovery. But the necessity for traveling for us was improving on ourselves. When we were in Vienna, we were improving ourselves. We were there on training. We had to be in class. We had to sit down in training for our diploma. We had to train. When we were at the United Nations, yes, it was, oh, he's on a vacation at the United Nations sightseeing. We were not sightseeing. We were learning. It was sightseeing, of course, but in order for us to be competent in saying we know the UN system, we had to go to the United Nations. And we had to go and learn and go. And while we were there, we were on tour. They were teaching us. Now, some of you are going to say, oh, I would do anything to have that opportunity. It's a luxury. It was not a luxury. It was a necessity based on what we wanted to add to our portfolio. It was a necessity based on us being competent and increasing our confidence in speaking to others about the United Nations and the UN system. I really want for you who are in the class of Steele And you who are listening to this broadcast, I really want for you to get the understanding of separating necessity from luxury. In London, me and my wife have been on staycations. We've been on staycations. We live here. And staycations are luxuries. They're nice. They're not necessities. They're nice. When you have the opportunity to take your family to go away for a couple of days in a nice hotel, it's nice to spend some time together. You can do that in your region, in your locale. It's nice because it's a different bed you're sleeping in. You know, you're getting up, you're having breakfast in a different kitchen. It's nice. But when I go for a business meeting, it's not a luxury. Are you getting the dynamics of what I'm sharing? It's not a luxury. I am at that business meeting because I need to meet people. I need to share my information. I need to make connections. And out of those 50 connections that I make, 2 or 3 or 4 of those connections might add value to me that is going to improve who I am, what I do, and my brand. I want you to get what I'm sharing with you. I have been on trips with individuals and they're asking me, why don't you go out and go shopping and go out and this and that? When I go on a business trip, I'm not on a vacation. I'm not on a holiday. I am a lion on the prowl. When I go to a conference, I am maximizing on being at the conference. A lot of people go to conferences, and because they never went to the country, guess what happened? They get carried away. They end up spending so much money they end up spending that they don't have, just to look good for others, just to make others feel, whoo, you came to Dubai. What did you bring back? What did you bring back with you? I didn't go on a shopping spree. I didn't go on a trip of luxury and leisure. I went on a business trip. And when you go on a business trip, you want to minimize your costs, because you know you have to look at a return on investment for this trip. So I want us to be focused and thinking on, when I do these things, I understand the difference between a luxury and a necessity. With that being said, let me open the floor for some discussion and see where we could go from there. And please ask me any questions you want to ask pertaining to a luxury and a necessity when it comes to travel. And the reason is because there are things you can do, initiate, and put in place to utilize travel as a necessity, but it gets balanced out into being a luxury. With that being said, let me ask Reverend Daniel Sapuru. Reverend Daniel, welcome this evening to class. Could you give us your take and if there are any questions on the difference between a luxury and a necessity when it comes to traveling?
Good evening, Your Excellency, Bishop Michael Steele.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone in the house. Well, when you talk about necessity and luxury, obviously there are certain things that people can see as luxury while they are actually necessity. Just like mobility, for some people, mobility, even having just one car, is a luxury, but we know that it is not. We know that it is not. Okay, and of course, traveling. Yeah, some people travel because it is a necessity, and some people travel just for luxury. So what you have just said is very true. But anything that when one travels and it is just to make yourself happy and not to learn, not to get things that can make you grow or that can make you productive, obviously that would be luxury. And with what you have just said, I believe and agree that once we want to make travels, we should think about what we can learn. We should think about how it can make us productive. We can think about how we will get things from that travel. So that will be nice, and that is it. It is not just only traveling, maybe to see things, sightseeing, as you said, but then to get things that will make us grow, to get things that will make us, very productive, and that will be very nice. It is my prayer that um, anytime I schedule any travel, anytime I plan traveling, that I will try to know what I am going to benefit from there. I mean, from the travel, and know exactly how it is going to make me progress. One thing I have learned, about, in the class of Steele is that whatever we are being taught, we are taught to at least project ourselves, know what benefit we are going to get from whatever we do. Adding value, that is it. Adding value to who we are and adding value to others too. So that has been a very wonderful teaching, very wonderful, how do I put it, very wonderful lesson that I have learned. Because in all your teaching, you have been, asking us to think ahead and, of course, try to project ourselves and know exactly what to do. There is a statement you made a certain time that that when I remember it, it helps me. You said, "Don't stop whenever you start a thing, and especially if that thing is very beneficial. So don't stop, no matter what people say or do from outside, because sometimes many people try to discourage you, and that simply means you are not a master of your vision, and you don't take control of your vision. But when you take control of your vision and know exactly what you are aiming at, so no matter what people do, don't give up, and that is wonderful. So I believe that traveling is a very big necessity when one projects what he is going to gain from there. When one knows that he is going to improve and learn, that is very, very wonderful. So thank you very much for giving me the first opportunity. And my name is Reverend Dr. Daniel Soporo. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Reverend Daniel. And that's very, very critical to know. Before you travel, just make sure you know why, and derive benefits from what you do. Make time for make time for the luxury side of it, the enjoying that side of it. But remember, don't travel for luxury until you are in that financial capacity that you can do it. If you're building your empire, you're building your vision, you're building your global reach, your global footprint. If you're building, make sure that the first thing you decide to do is based on what are the advantages to me? What do I set to benefit from it? And once you do that, then you are equipped then. Once that fits into the package of what you're doing, then you are able now to look at what are some of the luxuries that can be derived. I traveled quite extensively as a result of necessity. And a lot of times I will tell you some things as a mentor. I've been in hotel rooms where tears were just running out of my eyes because I have other things that I need to get sorted, but I don't have a choice but to be where I am. And the cost or the frustration of what I'm going through when I'm there, it's overwhelming. As a matter of fact, if sometimes people look and say, "Oh, I wish I was you," and I said, "I wish I could tell you who me is." I wish I could tell you what it is and why I am here, because why I'm here, it is not it is not pleasurable. It is not exciting. You see me sitting down in a nice restaurant, eating nice food, and you think, woo, but you might not recognize that the meetings that have been held and that meal might have been the first thing that you ate for the whole day because you were in meetings all day. There is no luxury. That's a necessity. And you do a selfie or something like that with a couple of people that you're in a meeting because you were in meetings all day, and you can't take selfies and photos when you're in meetings. You're driving in a car going to a next location. Oh, but you were in a Bentley, you were in a Mercedes. Are you kidding me? Because you're in a Bentley and a Mercedes, you're going to a meeting, you're talking to individuals on the way to that meeting. It's not luxury. It's not chill. You went out to, oh, we saw you with the camels and everything like that. Oh, that was because everybody decided you can't come to this country and not at least go and see some of the culture. You're trying to impact the culture. You're trying to derive business from these individuals. So to derive business, you have to fellowship with them. Oh, I saw you walking around in your attire. But you have to fit into the culture and build relationship, because that's what's going to increase your capacity. You didn't see me running through the malls and running through the shopping and all of this. Why? Because that's not what the trip was all about. And I want you to recognize this. When you go on trips, be very strategic in your public profile, what you share when you're on that trip, because individuals sometimes can get the wrong opinion. Individuals sometimes can judge you wrongfully, and that can also stunt your growth, because then sometimes you find that individuals might not even take you serious because they don't understand what you're doing. So sometimes the best thing to do when you're doing things is do them silently, do them quiet, and continue to build what you are building. Your Excellency, Dr. Ewers, your take, please.
A pleasant good evening, Your Excellency, Dr. Michael Steele, and all the Excellency in the class of Steele. Yes, sir, another time listening to you as our mentor and coming to the end for a break with the mentor. It puts me in the mind when I was in my secular job where we have what we call appraisal. And in appraisal, we talk about personal development. We talk about the aim, the objectives. We talk about what is your goal for the next year. And in a roundabout way, this is what you're doing with us tonight, if you correct me if I'm right or wrong, sir. And what I would like to say to add on to that, yet it is a learning curve because you've dragged my memory with so many different things in Vienna. When I went there to receive my honorary doctorate in Doctor of Divinity, I remember going to the country there for the first time. It was not just only going for the country because a lot of people wanted to do sightseeing. I wasn't interested to go on it. I've been around so many buildings. I've seen it all. I live in Europe. So I didn't do any sightseeing. I was just in crave for knowledge and crave for information and networking. And through that, I've met a couple there, Mr. and Mrs. Evans in Canada. And you wouldn't believe we are friends. We hear from each other once or twice a month. They give me a call. And so networking is quite a thing that we do. If I have to go to Canada, they said, as soon as you land in Canada, call me, we'll be there. When I went to Dubai, I don't think I've mentioned this to you, Dr. Steele. There was a taxi driver that I keep contact with. That taxi driver in Dubai, name is Dave. I had a friend whose son was going to Dubai, don't know anybody there. And they rang me and asked, do you know anybody in Dubai? I said, yes, there's a taxi driver I know. He will tell you where to go, what to do, whether. And they were so excited. The connection that you mean from the taxi driver to a CEO. So traveling, as you rightly say, broaden horizon in life and make me look at life in a different aspects, the culture, and there's so much to learn. In life, you're talking about within the class of Steele, our goals, our objectives, what we're bringing to the table, where have we developed, how have we learned, how have we gained in the class of Steele as the end of another year. So I can actually say, yes, I've gained a lot. I've seen a lot. I don't look some of the things that you're saying. I agree with you 100%. Like traveling is not a luxury. I feel that traveling is a development. I feel that traveling is an enlightenment. I feel that traveling, you get to know people, you get to know places, you get to know culture. So there's so much of that. And I think you could base it, sir, on individual, because my take on it would be somebody else's different take. A lot of people I've noticed when we go to Dubai, they want to see sightseeing, they want to go places, they want to know the building. I said, Bishop, Dubai is full of high-rise building. And it's like in central London, we've seen it. I don't want, and when I went to the same taxi driver, I said, please carry me with the real people. I don't want to see the fanciness and the chandeliers and the big palaces. And I said, I've done it, I've seen it. Show me with the real people. And when you come, it's something like Labour, I think it's called Labour House or Labour Street or Labour something it's called. I said, yes, these are the real people. And in Dubai, all the workers are put in one little area and miles and miles and miles of these, what we would call in the UK of like council houses. And there's where the workers. So it's nice to, I like to go with the real people, like in Jamaica, where my folks are from. You say go into the ghetto, where the real people, the poor people there, that you see how they live, how they talk, the culture, the food, etc. So there's so much to learn. And sometimes you have to come down off our pedal spoon and go with the poorer class of people. That's me, coming from my background, feeding the homeless in London for 13 years, etc. I like to go with the real people because I learn a lot. So saying this, sir, to add on to what you're saying, I must admit that, yes, traveling is really an eye-opener. It really, you see life in different things. And when we are ambassadors, I can think that we put on different hats. When you're in the official duty as an ambassador, that is a different scenario altogether. I've seen people running and bowing and doors are opening for us and somebody running to carry your bag and the other person, we are exempt through immigration. So there's another side to it in traveling. Had I not had that experience with you, I wouldn't be able to talk like this. Had I not had the experience, we are the first one, even when you pay for first class flight and go to first class. We are, as ambassadors, we are allowed on the plane before that. That was a different experience. I've seen people were giving us dirty looks because we're not we're not going in first class, but we are allowed to go on the plane. And this guy was just staring us and give us some real hard looks because of the position that we were into. So what we're saying here, I'm not just saying it because of saying sake or saying it to make Bishop Steele and the class of Steele look pretty. I'm saying it because of my experience. So a lot of things that you're saying, sir, and saying to people, because they don't have the experience, they don't. When I can add it together, say, oh, this is what Dr. Steele means. Oh, this is what. So it adds up together. And so a lot of church, as you said, I've traveled with you and I've seen different things going to foreign countries where you don't speak the language. I'm saying, how does Dr. Steele know this and know what platform to go? He doesn't speak the language in Vienna and so on. You told me you go to Google World, Google Maps, and you did your research. So by the time you go to the country, you know what train to go on, you know what to do, you know that. So a lot of things that you're learning to us, please, our fellow comrades in the class of Steele. It's not just to be pretty and not just that our mentor is just saying it's it is the reality, because if you're an ambassador and when you travel and when the things are asked, you must be able to talk with confidence. When you go to sometimes at the Leaders Without Borders meetings and they can pick you at random to say something. Are you going to be a buffling and something? I mean, I saw Doreen was picked at random to say something in the Leaders Without Borders in Dubai. And she delivered herself. I said, wow, this is one of class of Steele icons that is standing up and making him, you could see the smile on his face. And so I'm saying this to say that when this with the classes said on our mentoring, it is not going in vain, because when we do go out there, you're equipped. It's like a soldier, you're training, training, and when you go there, you're equipped to stand up as a soldier in the class of Steele. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I hand back to you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Ewers. And interestingly, that you mentioned while you were speaking, I actually want to add to that with this very interesting point, because you made some really key points while you were discussing. And one of the things that is important to note is I've been on private planes. I've been on luxury boats. I've been in hotels. I've flown first class. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not very impressed with flying first class. If you do it a couple of times, unless you're somebody that just wants fanfare, unless that's what you want, to be quite honest with you, first class it's nice and it's a different level, but it's not a necessity. But I will tell you something that's very interesting that most people don't understand about VIP. So I'll tell you something about VIP that you might not have known. There is a reason for VIP and VIP lounges. There's a reason. And let me tell you what the reason really is. The reason really is not just about luxury. They promote luxury, but it is not about luxury. It is actually necessity. Can you imagine a multi-billionaire traveling into an airport and he is a high-profile individual and he is in an environment where somebody that needs to attack him can easily attack him? So therefore, you have a VIP lounge for individuals that are persons of stature or persons that they don't want them to get thronged with the public. So VIP in the airport lounge is actually designed as a security and a safety for those high net worth individuals. That's what it's for. And if you think that what you do is of high net worth or high value, then you pay for that. You pay so that when you go into to the airport, you have a class of ticket that gives you access to those security necessities. It is necessary for you to be in an environment because you're going to have a business meeting. And when you're having a business meeting talking about millions or billions of dollars, you don't want to be next to somebody shouting out, hey, this is the first time that I'm on a plane. I am so excited. Oh my God, what flight are we on? Hey, you don't want to be sat in an environment like that when you're going to be discussing a high profile business discussion. So it is a necessity to be in a lounge where you're seated, nobody's close to you, and you can discuss your business. So it's a necessity. However, there are lots of individuals that think that that's a luxury and that's what they want. And they will peer through their nostrils for a luxury, which is something that is actually designed luxurious, but it is actually designed as a necessity to keep those individuals safe. A private plane. Sometimes individuals don't have the luxury of time. They don't have the luxury of having a meeting and they see that they have to go from one location to the next in 6 to 8 hours. Some people don't have 6 to 8 hours to spare. 6 to 8 hours is a long time. And therefore, a private plane for those individuals is because while they're flying, they're having board meetings. Are you with me? So when you're on a private plane, you think that those persons are flossing. No, those persons are cutting deals. Those persons are doing business, some of them. Others, it's a luxury and a show off. But they're those that when they're doing that, it's an investment. You hear somebody saying, why does a billionaire need 5 and 6 planes? Why does he need 5 and 6 planes? He can only fly one at a time. Please allow me to tell you so that you are aware. Those planes are not luxuries. Those planes are business investments. All of those planes, in most cases, are leased out to companies that lease out planes for those individuals. You buy 5 cars and you have your cars as hired cars. How many of you get what I'm saying? You buy 5 cars and then you give one to somebody to use as a taxi and he gives you money at the ending of the week. Your car is making money for you. That's what persons sometimes that have 3 and 4 and 5 planes, that's what they do. So when you see those planes on their net worth and you think, why does he have these planes? He is making millions from those planes flying around. He's not spending millions, he is making millions because those planes are paying for themselves. Sometimes you look at individuals with 2 and 3 cars. I can dare to tell you that sometimes those cars are Ubers, high profile Ubers, because those cars are making money. It's a necessity for them to have those vehicles. I'll share some other things with you because I want to challenge you to understand dynamics that are important. A lot of individuals see persons that are wearing brand name clothes. Can I tell you a secret? You can go to Italy yourself. His Majesty is Italian. His Majesty can tell you. You can go to Italy and you can go to one of those manufacturing firms there. And you could tell them, I want to be a brand ambassador for you. Can I tell you something? If you're an important person, if you're somebody that has a great following, that company will tell you, I want you to wear my suits to your events. And they will pay you not to wear anybody else's clothes, only theirs. so that when you show up, you look like them. And then you would say to you see some individuals that are talking about, oh, I have to wear this suit because it's a luxury. Those persons that are wearing those clothes are not wearing them because they're luxury. They're wearing them because it's a necessity. They were paid. I bet you would see some individuals in some outlandish outfits, some outfits that are crazy on the catwalks. Those things are done as a necessity. They get paid to do it. What am I doing all of this to say? I'm doing all of this to give you a perspective of the difference between luxury and necessity. I'm also doing it because you are the leaders. You are the trendsetters. You are the decision makers. And as a result of that, you are being put in a position where you understand why you do what you do. And you understand that there are things that people call luxuries that for you, it's a necessity. How many of you know that there are hotels around the world that have people just traveling because they're testing to see if the airline staff are nice? They're testing to see if everything here is good. If you want to travel a lot and you would like a job traveling, and that's what you want to accomplish, you want to fly first class, you could find opportunities like that where companies put you in those positions and pay you to do it. There are persons who go to hotels and they scout the hotels. The Hilton does it, the Marriott's does it, and lots of luxury hotels, they do it. They have persons that they pay to go and stay in luxury rooms. And when you see these people do it, your mind is telling you, oh, wow, this is a luxury. This is nice. This is what I want. Don't put yourself out of pocket for luxuries. Let luxuries be as a result of the necessities of life. Don't fly in a private plane and pay an extortionate amount of money because you want to look pretty. I don't fly first class. I'm not interested in flying first class personally, because for me, a plane is just a tool to get from point A to point B, a vehicle. That's all a plane is for me personally. When it gets to a place where I will have more meetings and different things that I need to do, or persons that I need to sit and have private meetings with, then it changes the dynamic. But at that time that it becomes necessary, then I will fly business and private and first class. When it is necessary, if I have to fly in a private plane, that happens. But I want you to understand, do not be one of the persons that crave luxuries as if it is something that makes you in a different category and you look pretty. What you do is you create opportunities for necessities that when you're in that caliber of individuals that you're doing business with, that is the standard they live by and operate by. And if you want to live and operate within a luxury environment, then it is necessary for you to improve your way of thinking, improve your communication, improve your network, and also improve your position and your status in life. And as you improve them together, all of a sudden, one works out for the other. When I go to Dubai, I go to Dubai in a luxury environment. Why? Because I'm in a high net worth environment of business individuals. But am I just going to fork out of my own self and say, when I'm going to Dubai on a vacation, I'm going to splurge like this or I'm going to do that? No, chances are no. And I hope you see what I'm sharing with you. Because you see, the importance of what I'm sharing is this. This is the importance. There's so many fake people in a real world. There's so many fake people that pay through their eyeballs to be in a luxury circle when they can't afford to be there. Are you with me? They can't afford to be there. And then when they leave that circle and they go back home, all of a sudden you look at them and you recognize, whoa, this person is useless. This person does not have the capacity for being here. However, the difference is this. If you are there for business, if you're there to improve yourself, nobody's going to look at you as a fake or not, or real or not real, because they know why you are there. You're not there to look good. You're not there because it's a wealthy environment and you want to be in the wealthy circle. You're there because you're improving yourself. You're improving your worth. So some people go into this wealthy circle and they're saying to themselves, oh, I don't fit in here. No, this is not for me. Let me tell you why you say that. You say that because you're there for the wrong reason. Hello, if I should use that term. Anytime you walk into a high profile circle and you're seeing gold plates and gold cups and crystal chandeliers and all of this luxury, and somebody's coming to pick you up in a Bentley, and you say, oh my God, this is too much for me. Oh, this is not my thing. Clearly, you're not where you belong. You're there for the wrong reason. I go to high profile meetings, and because of what I have inside of me to deliver to those who are waiting for me at the other end, I don't care if they send me a private plane or a helicopter or they ferry me with 10 Bentleys. It doesn't matter. What I have to deliver inside of me dictates and demands that I sit at that table and nobody else can take my place, because what I'm bringing to that table, it doesn't matter if when I come back to London, I'm riding a bicycle. It really doesn't matter. I am in a circle that I belong in. Come on, somebody, are you with me? I'm in a circle that I fit into. And that's what I want to be in the minds of you as ambassadors, as global leaders. Don't look at your pocket and determine whether you deserve to be here or not because of the luxury that is around you. Look at your brain. What have you put inside of here? Look at your qualification. What is your qualification, or what are you walking with that demands and necessitates your being at this table? And sit confidently. Don't be looking around at luxury. Don't be. But that's the circle that you're in when you elevate your status. Those are the people that you're going to be around when you elevate your status and increase your network. When I go to countries, people that come to pick me up, they pick me up and they're at that level. Persons look and says, oh my God, but those persons are friends, personal friends, as a result of networking, as a result of building relationships. I had a friend that, and I will share this with you. I had a friend has his own private planes. And when I was in Houston, I was going to meet with him, and he said to me, Michael, I'll fly and come for you. And I couldn't, I was 21 years old. I couldn't understand that. Are you with me? I couldn't understand somebody saying to me, I will fly my plane and come for you. I couldn't understand that. It was weird. And I says, no, 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 no. I will get somebody to bring me down. I'm fine, because where I was staying equally were individuals that didn't even want me to have somebody to come for me. They wanted to take me. So you get to understand that those things are not luxuries, they are necessities. And when you come into circles where people have necessities that are their necessities, you share in that. You become a part of that. When I go to meetings with Ethos and with Carlos and the team, because of the individuals that we meet necessitates where I go to eat. It necessitates those things. If for some of you who are going to come to the event that we're having in London, who we're bringing to London necessitates the location for the event. Are you with me? And as a result of that, you're going to have the opportunity to meet with those individuals and make friends and build relationship with them. That's how it works. That's how you grow. That's how you increase your productivity. Your Majesty, please, I want your take, Your Majesty, on this evening's discussion, because you and I just got back from Italy at the lap of luxury. And it was not any luxury for us, because Your Majesty, you remember when they told us they want us to spend more days, and they say Italy was going on lockdown, and we said, no, 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 we don't want no more days. We need to come back to the UK immediately. Your Majesty no longer was the Pope or the Vatican important. What was important was flying out of Italy immediately after business negotiations.
Yes. Wow. Very good evening once again to your Excellency. Good evening to all Excellencies in the house. And like it's usually, you've done it again, taking us on this journey of traveling, the difference between luxury, necessity in traveling. Let me start by saying that we have a proverb where I come from. The proverb says that a traveler is wiser than the oldest person in a given community. You know, so there is traveling is a part of education in it all. When you travel, actually, like the type that we did to Italy, we went there for necessity, and it wasn't luxury at all. There may be, and a part of your travel, you may jump into some luxurious um, living, maybe depending on the people you're meeting and what you want. So that actually comes in between. But then I want to make my point when you talk about people traveling with a private plane and people that travel with first class, and then the difference that you try to remind us. A lot of people struggle, to belong to a class. They see people there. They don't even know the secret of those people in that class. And this is a very, very important point that you raised this night because in the course of my own business as an investment promoter, I came to this. I had a boss. This boss got four private planes, and each time when we were traveling to Africa, the man must always come with his plane. So I was asking myself, why can't you take even a first class or do? He said, no. I said, no, no, no. Wait, I'll land in Rome, I'll pick you up. And he will land, he'll pick me, we'll be only two of us traveling in that private plane and going to parts of Africa. Then I started asking myself, out of curiosity, why? Because I consider I'm the one who arranged the landing costs, the booking costs, any country we're going to land, how much it will cost. I have an agency that arranged it for me and I get all those parts for me. Then I started asking myself, why must this company be spending such an amount of money for us to just travel where we can use normal plane, even fly first class? But then the secret, nobody would have known unless you are in it. Then when we traveled together, I traveled with the man. The first thing when he picked me up in a Campino in Rome, he gave me a big phone. As we enter the flight, he said, "You hold this." He said, "Edwin, anytime this phone rings, pass it across to me." It didn't make sense to me because I really didn't actually understand what was going on. But as we were moving, then that particular phone was ringing. It was a satellite phone, a very big phone. And the man was answering. So all the time we did 4.5 hours before we landed at Tamara somewhere in Libya, he was answering this call. Then when we landed in Nigeria, then I asked him, why? Then he told me that he's flying that private plane. It's not luxury. It's necessity because you need to answer these calls. It's equally in a meeting flying. If it's in a business class, you may not answer those calls, and they are into energy with contracts. The no plant. We call it none of the plant can break for 1 minute. If it breaks, the engineers must get him, and he will tell them what to do at a particular point. He has all his companies everywhere, but then he is in anywhere. The one I remember when we landed somewhere, was it in Gabon? There was no communication. Then he brought out something and we set it up. And because it cannot be in any place without communication. So having said that, I found out that a lot of people, a lot of us, maybe we try to. Somebody will say, okay, let's imitate. And then when you said about um, somebody having 5 cars and then renting like 3 hours and is being paid for, this is quite true. I just want to confirm it because when I later went to my boss' house, I call him boss because of he's a very big person. I went to his house. This one day he said, come to my house. Not an office, so I went to his city, and I went to the city. We sat down eating with the governor of the region, and what they were talking about. Just the other two planes, he's been renting it out to the city. The bosun is a contribution to the government of that area. Always he has his own landing this. They borrow those flights. So who didn't know? Say, this guy gets private plane, and no, it's business. The other one is business. So really, I am. When you say certain words, I'll always say that I don't know how you come on about this class of skill. Is something that you what we call common sense in Nigeria. Something you think you know, but at the end of the day, you can't really describe it. You can't really tell. You go to pick up the fundamentals of certain things, which I think I know, or someone thinks is know, and then you narrow it down to an extent that yes, as an ambassador, these things you should know. It's not only about talking about pesto, but there are things, these common things as an ambassador you should know. From there, you can pick your points and stand out and stand well, and then speak as an ambassador that you are. So I must say thank you for certain most of the subjects that you've mentored us on and where you bring them out. Like I always say, it's one and there's an extra wisdom, that I mean that is inborn, that is inside you, that comes out because when you At times when you're speaking, I'll be looking at you. I said, "But this is my friend. This is the friend we sit together." But the moment you're on, you're on sit on the class of, you're a different person. It's a business, and you keep the thing keep rolling out, keep rolling out, keep rolling out. So I thank you. We have learned a lot. Our community learn because we are all learning. But I thank God for this evening. I thank you for coming out with this topic of traveling. And I want to end it up with saying that it's like the European Union, they knew about the global village earlier on because I know as far back as 2004, they have an EU global concept on migration and immigration, which they do in every country. They select people from all over. I was a part of that. We went to meeting in Greece, we went to meeting in Italy, to Mexico, and we traveled to all places, trying to just bringing people from all the whole world, and then teaching about this global village, like what you just said when you said the lesson about government now trying to restrict people from traveling because of the world is turning global village. It's,
Mhm.
it's a pure fact. So let me just stop here because if I continue, and I made a lot of notes that I don't want to take the whole night. Let's, as some other people say, their intake. Um, Good evening. I remember once again, His Royal Majesty Edwin Ifeanyi Chukwumadu. Good evening.
Thank you so very much, Your Majesty, and it's a pleasure having your experience and your wisdom in the class of Steele and your exposure, because it gives those that are here the opportunity to appreciate that what we're sharing is not what we were hearing, it's who we are. It's what we've lived. It's what we've experienced. And sometimes the taboo that is on what you see that you don't understand gives you a hunger and a panic to accomplish something that you did not recognize. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity that is being met. And that's also very, very, very important to note. As you mentioned, the gentleman with his phone, private planes are connected to satellites where they have constant access to communication, which is unwavering, because those persons have to make calls and meetings set up, etc. And Zoom meetings and all these things happen in the sky when they have 7 and 8 hours. If they have and you being with them is, for you, it's just them saying, come, let me let you experience what it's going to be like. To be quite honest, most of the times individuals that fly in these positions are just being privileged to have an opportunity for a plane that is going to fly with just 2 people. So you sometimes just get an opportunity because you're in the right circle at the right time, but also because you're adding value to why you are in that circle. You are adding value to yourself and also to the ecosystem and the development and sustainability of that circle or status. So remember that nobody's going to put you in their private plane if you are not going to add value to the trip, unless you pay for it and you're just paying for a seat that is reimbursing them for the seat. I remember being on a fishing trip. Some people look and says, oh my goodness, you're on a fishing trip. I went on a private plane and then a fishing trip to Bimini Island. Why are you on a fishing trip, fishing, deep sea fishing? Well, because there are some multi-billionaire businessmen and multi-millionaire businessmen that sit down and have business discussions that is nothing to do with you, and you need to be in that circle because you're a part of it. So those are things that that happen. And when you see them, don't crave them, but recognize they happen as a result of necessity. Stephen Abu, go ahead. What is your take on necessity versus luxury this evening's discussion?
Yeah, every time, Your Excellency, I'm thrilled by certain words, certain words being placed by on each other, and when you begin to, elaborate and bring out the things that it's like light coming out. You see different things, different outlooks and perspectives about everything. I want to meet you, my mentor, all because of that, also with other excellencies. I want to say that these are some of the things most of the companies in Nigeria and all places working for. I began to see the reality of things. They give their top management the funds to get into networking positions like golf course. They go to golf courses where they meet training.
Forgive me for interrupting you, Reverend Steele. Yeah. Forgive me. Could you unplug the phone and use the microphone that is in the phone itself? Your earpiece is not working properly.
Hello, is it clear now?
Yes, that's perfect. That's a lot better. Yes. Even if you turn off the camera, it's okay. You can turn off the camera.
Okay.
You can turn off the camera. Okay. Just press the thing to turn off the camera. Right. And yes,
hello,
go ahead.
sir.
I can hear you.
Okay, sir. I said most of the companies I worked with in Nigeria and all that, they give their top management slots in different golf courses and different places where they meet people of influence and to go there and have interactions, networking and all that. And people think it's a luxury for us, top management to, within its own spare time to go and spend time in those places. I began to realize that even though they spend a lot of money keeping these things going on because of persons that are there, but in the long run, they are there for the business and they are there to make their people informed, get network to boost up the business. So just this. So it's actually a necessity for those companies for them to strive and to increase. They need to do that. So it becomes a necessity, not a luxury. And so other things too that to look. I know coming into the class of Steele, this is an eye opener. It's not a luxury, but a necessity. Because every time things are being said and spoken and taught, there are a lot of things that are gotten inherently by me, which is being used, with my environment and people. When I talk to people, they appreciate what is being said. I want to talk about the research. There's a research. When I spoke to somebody some few days ago about the research, he said, wow, he had never thought about that before. Thought things and all that. So there are things in life that, that I got to learn, in the class of Steele that made me to upgrade to the extent I'm going to be gradually, that it enlightens every of my nerve system to become better. And this evening again, I begin to see different aspects you brought up. Having things, luxury cars and all that is actually a two-faced to it. By the time you look at it, some people are using it for business. So it's actually not a luxury and it's a necessity. I want to thank you for this class this evening, sir. Thank you. I remain Stephen Abu from Lagos. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Stephen, for your submission in the class this evening. Is much appreciated. I want to speak to Architect Olusegun Olukoya. Are you available, Architect Olukoya? You're available? I know he's been on travels.
Yes, Your Excellency. Good evening, Your Excellency.
Oh, well done, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Just share your take this evening on this evening's subject, luxury versus necessity.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I also want to salute His Royal Majesty, my dear sister Zioness, my wife, and Her Excellency Jeannie Steele, Stephen Abu, and Mr. Reverend Daniel. thank you for this opportunity. While you were talking, and you were talking about, necessity, and you are linking it with increase in capacity. And now it struck my heart, it struck a chord in my heart. A particular multi-billionaire, I think is worth over $70 billion today. When he was worth $3 billion, he was asked that why is he living a modest life? Where does he live and all of that? He said, well, he lives in a 1-bedroom apartment and his bed is on the floor. And that's all. That was then, when it was worth just $3 billion. I think linking that little point I make, that example I made with what you shared, talking about increasing capacity, because you also mentioned that somebody must be prepared, for his travels. So it's not just something you jump and then you just jump into and then you start try to travel the world. You must start from somewhere. So I believe that the issue of necessity and travel, just like you said, you may be traveling in a private jet, you may be staying in one of the best hotels in the world, you may be eating one of the most expensive meals, yet a lot of people may call that luxury, but it's actually just a necessity. That may even just be your first meal of the day. I think it boils down to our outlook to life, because a lot of people, they want to impress somebody. They want to show off. But when you understand travel, you understand necessity and how you need to take advantage of every trip you embark upon for your own good, and how you can use it to also improve and make the life of others better, I think it will help our perspective completely about travel. A lot of people don't like to travel because they feel it is a waste of money, it's a waste of time, particularly for those who can afford it. But you see, if one has not traveled, you will not know the opportunities that are out there. And when the opportunity comes for us to travel, we should not look at it more of luxury, but rather we should look at the business side and the opportunities that lies there. I remember when I traveled to Dubai, in February, the car that came to pick me was 2022 model BMW. And we went for the business meeting and all of that. They took us to best place. And then a lot of people that were calling were asking me, have you visited this place? Have you visited that place? And I'm like, I have not had the chance to even move around, because that's not even what brought me to Dubai. So I think people can easily get distracted. And that is why I understand why sometimes when you are talking about trips, you try to educate people so that you don't miss the essence of the trip in the first place. Because when people go for conferences, they go for programs in different parts of the world, they abandon the program that took them there. Mm-hmm. And then you just see them come back with painted faces, T-shirts, and all kinds of things that they have gone to explore the city. To me, that is not the essence of travels. And I know that you are very business-minded when you approach things. And that is one of the things as ambassadors that you are trying to teach us, that when we travel, we should focus on what took us there and ensure that when all is said and done, if you still have a day or two, then you can do whatever you want to do. But if you don't have that luxury of time, then you have not missed anything on that trip. Because the fanfare is not the main essence of you traveling. And I want to appreciate that, and I want to say that I went through this lecture when you were preparing us for Dubai last year. And that was what helped me when I traveled to Dubai. A lot of people, when I came back, they kept asking, you mean you didn't go to so place? I say, I don't even know where it is. And you spent 10 days in Dubai. I say, yes, but I went for something very important. So I think those preparations are also very useful. And there are things that we should not assume that people know. Because a lot of people, you will just assume, and then you see them misbehaving in conferences, and you'll be so embarrassed, and you'll be wondering, where is this coming from? I think it is not out of place to educate people, when they are to travel or they are about to travel. And that is how I see it. Luxury is not about luxury. It is more about, the essence of the trip in the first place. That's why I see it more as a necessity rather than luxury. Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Architect Olukoya Olusegun of the class of Steele. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much, Architect Olusegun. The interesting thing, and I want to add value to what you shared because that's really critical. The interesting thing is most people, for example, if you're an ambassador and a country sends you, if a country pays for you to go for a meeting, the country has a budget for how long you're going to be there and what you're going to accomplish when you're there. There's a budget. And you might have a meeting that is from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. You have a meeting, and then you have to be on a flight at 7 p.m. Or should I use the term, you have to be on a flight the night to leave. And most people would want to say, oh my God, this is the first time I'm in this country. Oh my goodness, how can I go to this country and I don't at least do this and do that and do the next and do the third? I want to share this with you. Those are persons who sometimes they don't get a second opportunity to go again. They show up, and as soon as the break time comes inside of the meeting sessions that they were supposed to be there for the whole meeting, soon as the break time comes, they abandon and they leave. And they go shopping because they realize, oops, if I don't leave this meeting now, then I'm not gonna have the time to do this and to carry back this and to carry back that, because they're focusing so much on what you carry back from where you've been. And what happens is they miss out on everything that was supposed to be in the second half of the meeting that was critical to them or more important to them than they know. And when they return to the country, they go back to give an account of stewardship of their time that was invested in them. They can't give a full report. They can't even give proper notes because they were not there. They were just desperately, every time they're texting their friend that is in the town talking to them, when are you going to come? When are you going to show up? They're not focused on the real reason why they're there. And I think that as ambassadors and those that are under the class of Steele, those that are mentoring, I don't want to have individuals that dishonor their office or dishonor the job or the corporation that sets them up as an executive director or a member of the board or a part of the company's structure for improved productivity. Because it's important that you're focused. It's important that you manage your time, your resources pertaining to what is the most important thing. If you get the chance to, and that's why they have duty-free shopping. Most people don't even know why they have duty-free shopping and why it's so important. It's important because most people that travel for business, they don't have the time to go into the town. Are you with me? So when they go to the airport gives them that opportunity because they know that when you go to a business meeting, your business meeting is from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. And they know you're going to come to the country and you're going to want souvenirs. You're going to want perfume. You're going to want to take back a gift for your wife or your husband, but you are not going to have the luxury of going into that country and going to the town and seeing things or doing things. That is also why in airports, you will see mega billboards with the sights of the country. When I went to Oman and different places that I go, that I don't have the luxury of time because of just there for a 3-hour meeting or something like that. And I don't have the luxury of the time. When you get to the airport, you can take photos of those notable things that are at the airport, those buildings and those. The reason they're large is exactly for persons that are in business class that will not have the opportunity to go around and see those sites. So everything is a necessity. There's a purpose. And when you go through that duty-free, remember, you don't have to fight and kill yourself to get into the city and dishonor the contract or the reason you're in the country. You have a duty-free section that if you get to the airport on time, give yourself time to check in, and then you go through the duty-free, do some shopping. Look at some little things that you're going to take back home. I was in Dubai. Here's a key ring. Here's this, here's that. Because you get the opportunity to do it. And you don't have to discuss where you got it or when you got it or how you got it. You just have something there. So those are the importance as well of those types of trips that you will go on and understanding those dynamics. Zionist Amaka, I know you dropped off earlier, but Zionist, what you have received thus far, do you want to give your take on, please? Your Excellency Zionist Amaka Curry.
Good evening, Your Excellency, Bishop Dr. Michael Steele, First Lady. A pleasant good evening to you, Your Royal Highness, Your Excellency Edwin Madu, and all the excellencies in the house. I greet you all. I thank you, Excellency, for this subject. Initially, I was struggling to understand where personally I would fit into the topic you're sharing with us regarding traveling and the luxury. But once His Excellency Architect Olukoya spoke, I kind of got a grasp of where you're coming from. Some traveling are luxury to some people, depending on their reason for traveling. But what I get from you is we have to be studious. When we travel, especially as ambassadors, we have to be firm focused on what we're going for. And to me, that denotes that there is a time for everything, and everything in life must be put in their perspective if we want to achieve the maximum result. So if a family decides that they're traveling and it is their holiday time, then to them it could be a luxury, whether they're on the yacht or sitting by the seaside. But as an ambassador, if we traveling is not luxury because we are still working. We might be in the air, we might be in the first class, we might be on ocean liner, but because there's a vision, there's a mission, there's a goal, there's objective, it's not a luxury at that point in time. We're going there as an ambassador to attain certain specific result. And only after we have accomplished what the aims and objectives are, can we and then embark on having a luxury time to relax, be it at home or be it abroad. And I learned a lot from what His Excellency Architect Olukoya mentioned, not to get carried away when one travels, especially on a business trip, not to get carried away by all the facades around. But to be disciplined and to be focused and to utilize one's time very adequately, very efficiently. So on that note, yes, there's a difference between not all travels are regarded as luxury. Travels are very, very, very difficult. If it's a business travel, it's very difficult. If it's a family leisure, me time, one can class it as a luxury, depending on on the parameter upon which they've defined they are going away or traveling. But all I hear is that as an ambassador, when we travel, we must aspire to travel. We must not be afraid to travel. Certainly, Columbus wasn't afraid to travel. And when he set out to travel, he never knew what he was going to find, whether he was going to be eaten alive or come back. But he had to travel. He had to leave the comfort of his own land to go and search out whatever is on the horizon in the world beyond his own world. So you're encouraging us to endeavor to travel because it opens up a lot of opportunity. It exposes, it informs, it educates. It ensures that we're not looking at this beautiful planet from the bird's eye view of another, or from David Attenborough. We can all go out there with our own camera and stuff and explore the world. But when we do go, we also need to be mindful, have an understanding of why we are traveling, and see it as a business travel is certainly not a luxury travel. If one is disciplined and want to accomplish quite a lot. And within that context, if we travel, we must have a reason, a genuine reason why we travel, and we must be determined to come back, achieving, accomplishing the purpose for which we're traveling, even if we have no purpose, but come back like a hunter who goes out with his guns and knife and everything. He comes back, so even with a bird or even with a small alligator, whatever he comes back with, he must make sure he comes back with something, rather than say he went to the bush and looked at all the birds and listened to them singing and then came back happily ever after without anything to show for. And so I'm going to end my own take with a quote from Henry David. And he said, "It's not worthwhile to go around the world to count the cats in Zanzibar." And so there are cats everywhere. If you're going to travel, you travel for a purpose. If you're going to travel to count cats, you can do so in your street. So not all travel are luxury. And when we do travel, we should travel with the aim of coming back with a value-added perspective to our traveling. Your Excellency, I'm not sure if I have contributed within the parameter in which you expect, but certainly this is a few things I heard along within the little time I spent, coming in and out of the class because of family commitment. Thank you. My name is Zionessa Makakori. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you so very much. Of course, definitely you have covered what we are discussing and within the right context. No hunter goes into the forest unless he's going to relieve himself and then return with nothing other than less than he went into the forest with. But with regards to anytime you're going on a journey, there must be a reason. And when you come back from that journey, there must be an accomplishment. I want to close with saying all accomplishments are not going to be immediately recognized, and all accomplishments are not going to be financial. Remember that the relationship and the journey to success is made up of many pieces, and all of those pieces add value to the final product. And if the final product is increased productivity so that you can increase in finance and wisdom and wealth so that you're able to afford the luxuries of life, then all of the pieces of the puzzle need to be put together. and wrapped up in every single trip you take. Remember that every trip you take must and will give you benefits. You just have to be a hunter on the prowl for the benefits from that trip. Some trips you'll go on that you might lose money but gain wisdom. Some trips you might not have a clue what was the value of that trip, but I can assure you the company that you were in would have added value to why you were on that trip. So just remember, every single trip you go on will have its value that you will receive from it. You just have to be looking for that value. I want to ask First Lady Jeannie Steele. Jeannie, are you going to lend your voice to this our final class before tomorrow, our celebration? Please, First Lady Jeannie.
Good evening and blessings to everybody. Greetings to you all, Reverend Daniel, our Olukoya Pastor Stephen, Zionist, and His Excellency Dr. Donald Ewers. It's good to see you all, and greetings to the others who have dropped off earlier, and to our viewers on other platforms. To the topic you were discussing with regards to luxury or not, with regards to travel, I think travel is pretty important in that it changes your perspective on a lot of ideas and ideologies that you would have had from just staying in one place. For me, I'll give you a joke about myself. It's kind of embarrassing, but nonetheless, I will give you the joke about myself. So when I first came to the UK, it was the first time that I have traveled to a country with so many Caucasians, I would say. And back home on the island, it's majority colored or blacks, as you will call us. And so back home, when you go to a restaurant or anything like that, you wouldn't see Caucasian people like serving or in particular jobs, doing particular things. So when I first came, my husband, we went into a restaurant, and I was, after our meal, the waitress, she came and she asked if I was okay, how was the meal and all that. And to be really honest, I was surprised, because back home in our Caribbean, I've been to the Caribbean islands, but in the Caribbean, you don't get that. So I was shocked and felt a little bit humiliated after the fact that I didn't recognize that my little box had my mind thinking that Caucasians don't do those kind of stuff, that a person like that would never wait on me and something like that. So my mind was really small. My horizon wasn't great at all. So I think that travel is important, so you really have a different perspective, because in the Caribbean, our media only give us such a small picture, and it's not a realistic picture. It's not reality. And coming here and going other places and meeting people from around the world, thanks to my relationship with my husband, being able to be connected to people from around the world and learn different things and ask questions more on culture and history and so on, it has caused me to grow tremendously, so much that I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have my mind really out of the box, as I would say, because I would say being back home in the Caribbean is such a small island. My mind was pretty much in a box. And now my mind is quite open and even more open, and I'm learning more and more every day with the opportunity to study and speak to other people. So I would encourage individuals to travel, to experience, not only to hear what some person from the history book said or what we read in books, but to travel and actually connect with people from different countries so you can know more of the truths of what's happening, because we really can't depend on what the media is showing us, because what the media is showing us is quite limited in what's actually happening around the world. And as ambassadors, we need to really know the truth and have a bigger picture and a broader scope of what's actually happening around the world, so we can make better decisions and help others to make better decisions as well. So that's just my add-on to what was said earlier. And I just want to encourage you as well I look forward to tomorrow. So I want to encourage everyone who is listening in and all our members to join us in our second anniversary celebration tomorrow. It's going to be, we're going to all have a wonderful time. I look forward to it. I look forward to sharing it with our members, past and current members. And yeah, I wish you all a good night, a blessed evening, you and your families and your communities at large.
Thank you so very much, my dear. Thank you. And all of us have those embarrassing moments that we can remember as we increase our knowledge and exposure. And there's some very hilarious stories that you would get to know when you travel, because some of the things that you didn't realize are that way, it will surprise you. And I think that we in the class of Steele, we're doing okay, and we're gonna be fine. We're gonna close this evening's class. I want to thank His Royal Majesty for being with us this evening. I want to thank His Excellency, Dr. Donald Ewers, our Chief of Protocol, for being here this evening. Reverend Daniel Sapuru, Her Excellency Zanis Amaka Curry, Architect Olusegun Olukoya, His Stephen Abu. I want to thank all of you for being in class this evening. It's an absolute pleasure having you. And we look forward to tomorrow's session. Tomorrow is from 12 until 4, 12 p.m. until 4 p.m. And that is London time, British Standard Time. Please do not use Greenwich Mean Time, because Greenwich Mean Time is different than the British Standard Time currently, which in British Summer Time, sorry. So we're in British Summer Time. So when you go for 12 o'clock, it's 12 o'clock British Summer Time for the class to start. And it's 12 till 4. And I look forward to you guys being there and sharing with us and being in a part of our final session. With that being said, I want to thank those in our YouTube channel and those from Facebook and on our social media platforms. Thank you so very much for allowing the class of Steele to visit you in your sitting rooms and on your mobile devices, wherever you are. And we look forward to a great vacation, 3 weeks of vacation of rest, no class of Steeles for the adult section, and individuals are able to reflect on what we've done and what value have it added. And they're able to look and determine, are we going to do this again? Are we going to follow up and continue, or are we going to move on? Because the purpose of the class of Steele is to bring you to that place where you're confident, you're capable, you're able, and you can stand on your own 2 feet. And you have these videos that you can review and look back upon them and derive benefits from them. So tomorrow we will be sharing what is the future for Class of Steele. What do we have in 2022, the remainder, 2023 and beyond? And you who are here with us, or you who are listening, can determine if you are going to be with us on the next leg of the journey to fulfill the decade of success. I'm His Excellency Dr. Michael Steele, First Lady Jeannie Steele, my wife and the co-owner of the Class of Steele. Thank you very much for being with us. Have yourself a fantastic evening and looking forward to seeing you in the next class. Class resumes on the 3rd of June, which is Friday, the 3rd of June, which is when we will resume. But those who are in our WhatsApp chats and WhatsApp groups and our social media platforms, you'll be getting updates throughout the week with what's happening. Coming up, we have the event with Leaders Without Borders. That's on the 30th and the 31st here in London. And incidentally, this week, next week, there's the trip to Dubai, which is going to be for the awards for those individuals who have made significant contributions of their lives to humanity. And that's happening in Dubai coming up shortly. So thank you so very much. I wish you God's blessings and see you the next class. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Good night, everyone.